that was obtained from their Apple iCloud, from their Instagram, from their social media that prove that they were tracking and hunting the victim while he was in Tampa. Isaiah Chance, Mr. Richoff War. There is a very real war going on in Jacksonville between ATK, 1200, and 6 Block. And he is a do-it, and he is getting rich off of it because he is willing to take out Charles Jones, the head of 6 Block. There's a reason he changed his name to Mr. Richoff War. Another one of his names, Mastermind. That's his phone number. At @Guttazay. These are his Gmail. That's his Gmail account, Guttazay42. All tracked back to him and his phone. This is one of his postings from Instagram. Rashad Murphy, Ghost 187, Ghost 187 official at Gmail. You heard that there is detective, gang detective after gang detective that knows Rashad Murphy is Ghost. They just know it. Detective Ramos actually went out of his way to prove and tie this Instagram account to Rashad Murphy, because you can put any name to set up an Instagram account. You heard what he had to do to actually connect him to Ghost 187 to ensure that we know that he indeed is Ghost. The same way Sean Gathright refers to him, GH, on the notepad to set up his phone again. His Instagram return, the vanity name, Ghost 187, there was a Gmail that was associated with it. Subpoena to Google, Google Pay. When you are going to actually use finances or bank information to pay for something on Google, you cannot now use a fictional name. So he was able to get the actual real information, financial account, and the actual legal name associated with Ghost 187 official at gmail.com. And it is Rashad Murphy. Davion Murphy, that is his phone number, that is his Gmail account. Shug Spaz is what he is using to set up his T-Mobile. Again, you don't have to use your name, but you know the significance of Shug Spaz. That is the name he used as his subscriber name. Isaiah Chance, June 6th of 2024. The only count I haven't talked to you about yet is criminal conspiracy, and that is count 2. And all 4 of the defendants are charged with it, because all 4 of them conspired to commit Charles Jones. And criminal conspiracy is just the act of conspiring and agreeing to commit first-degree premeditated murder. And we have started our conspiracy from June 6th of 2024. It probably goes back even farther than that, in Jacksonville and Duval County, and continued on here into Hillsborough County when they actually committed the murder of Charles Jones. But we start the conspiracy, and I'm going to read to you what are the 2 elements we have to prove beyond all reasonable doubt to prove criminal conspiracy. The intent of the defendant was the offense of first-degree murder would be committed. In order to carry out the intent, the defendant agreed, conspired, combined, or confederated with one or more of his co-defendants to cause the first-degree murder to be committed either by them or one of them or by some other person. Those are the only 2 elements that we have to prove, that they conspired with another one of their co-defendants to commit first-degree premeditated murder. It is not necessary that the agreement, conspiracy, combination, or confederation to commit first-degree murder be expressed in any particular words or words that pass between the conspirators. It is not necessary that the defendant do any act in furtherance of the offense conspired. This is a crime just to agree to do it. And here, this case, we actually have the completed crime. They are all guilty of this. The reason it says it's not necessary that the agreement or conspiracy be expressed in any particular words or words passed between the conspirators. When conspirators plan a cold, calculated, evil murder, there will be no witnesses outside of the co-conspirators to that conversation. We will never be able to present to you what they actually said when they were planning to do this, when they were planning to commit a hit on Charles Jones, because they are all in it together. They are a gang and they trust one another. They are family to one another, and they are not willing to talk about one another. And there will be no witnesses to that conspiracy. But the evidence in this case proves that they did conspire to do just that. The facts and the circumstances of how this crime was committed, how it is all captured on video from the beginning at Sean Gathright's house to them loading in, to all of those vehicles meeting together with all 5 of those individual people coming together, already knowing what they are going to do in one night. And they did it. That doesn't happen unless they conspired and they planned it. So all of the facts and the circumstances that you have seen prove that they are all guilty of conspiring to commit first-degree premeditated murder. Not only did they conspire to do it, they actually did do it. And so when we talk about conspiracy, we do have evidence of it, because again, this war is so blatant that it went on social media. There is actually an Instagram story that law enforcement, gang detectives in Jacksonville, Florida monitor. They monitor their Instagram, they monitor their Twitter, it's called X now. They monitor it all because they know that these rival gangs get on social media and taunt one another. They post drill rap videos. On June 6th of 2024, Isaiah Chance eventually gets on X with Charles Jones. But before that, again, we had ample evidence from his Instagram account and his postings of what he is posting about, which clearly show, again, we're going to talk about a gang enhancement in a little while, but that this is a gang war that is going on. He says, "Heem, you never did shit about Tilly Green ass purple. Light skin F you. Couldn't even go get them ones who was sliding. Don't do shit, but you run your mouth all day." He is talking about Tilly, and you heard from those Jacksonville gang detectives about the significance of Tilly. Tilly is one of the people on his side that have been killed in this gang war. And you heard what they were talking about, these postings, that he is posting it and that he is upset. He's upset with ATK because nobody has gotten street justice for his friend Tilly. And he is very vocal and active on social media about this. And then there's even a thing, go to my Twitter, Instagram, keep deleting his stuff because of the content of what he is posting. That takes us to June 6th of 2024. I'm not going to play it again, but you saw that there was a dispute. And this is an open forum. It is a public forum. Anybody can be watching. Jacksonville Sheriff's Office is watching anonymously and recording it because Gutazay is talking to his arch rival, Foolio Charles Jones. And they recorded it, they screen recorded it, and you heard that they are arguing on social media that Charles Jones may have talked about or accused him of being gay, and that Charles Jones is taunting Isaiah Chance. And you heard that Isaiah Chance specifically talks to the victim and asks him about what? How's your foot, cuz? Again, another tie to the fact that they tried to kill Charles Jones by shooting him earlier in October of 2023. He basically is asking him about that injury, and you know that he and Sean Gathright and his co-conspirators are connected now ballistically to that attempt on Charles Jones's life. And at some point, Charles Jones says, "You've got bigger fish to fry," and there's a back and forth exchange between the two of them. And why do we start the conspiracy then? Because we know that there is a dispute between the two of them. We know that they tried to kill him earlier in October. But right after this very public display on social media for the public to see, his two co-conspirators, Sean Gathright and Ghost, who is saved in Sean Gathright's phone as Ghost, surprisingly enough, because this is from the Apple iCloud information. There is messaging between the two of them shortly after their good friend, Gathright, and the victim in this case, Charles Jones, is going live on X's fighting. They're concerned. They don't want public exposure right now. You have Rashad Murphy contacting Sean Gathright, Isaiah Chance, Gathight's good friend, saying, make sure you're brought in a good headspace before we go with his move. We got bigger shit to tend to, ain't worth any energy right now. They don't want him publicly on social media fighting with the victim. They're very much conspiring to kill. It's not a good look to be in a public war with somebody they are personally trying to take out. Sean Gathright likes that message that Rashad Murphy sends. It is clear who they are talking about. The only person who just went live, it was their good bra, is Gathright. Sean Gathright, I ain't heard from bro, but I'm a check with him. And then Rashad Murphy says he's probably not going to pick up. He on IG, Instagram, letting these and get him out of character. He turned up on that right now. Also on Rashad Murphy, who's at war with Charles Jones, he coincidentally follows and looks at his very rival's Instagram because he is tracking him. He is following him, not because they're good friends. Charles Jones's group, his friend Robert Howard went to prison for shooting one of his cousins. They're not friends, but he is tracking Charles Jones's social media and actually has saved the very profile picture of Charles Jones to his own. June 14th. This is when Charles Jones is publicly posting on Instagram that he is going to be on Tampa celebrating his birthday at Teasers with the address, June 14th. This is why we have started that conspiracy as far back as June 6th of 2024. It is clear they are already planning on killing Charles Jones. They are already conspiring to do it. Gathright, Instagram, ran up my money and all songs gone. This is another posting, 6:30 on Gathight's Instagram. This is a photo of Tilly, another victim of this gang war, one of his friends that he's posting June 14th. This is Ghost 187, Rashad Murphy, liking Charles Jones' post. So we know that they know Charles Jones is going to be here in Tampa and where and when he will be. They're not doing this because they like him. The extraction of Rashad Murphy's cell phone in Georgia. All kinds of stuff were taken out of his phone. They couldn't do a whole download because of the state of the phone, but they were able to get some cell phone extraction information. Again, he had a license of his cousin, Davion Murphy. We know that they are connected. We also both know that they are 1,200. Rashad Murphy's cell phone extraction had Isaiah Chance in his phone, saved in his phone. Connection after connection. There is a Youngin Ace video screenshot that was on his phone. Double G, again, we know that is Isaiah Chance on his phone. This is on Rashad Murphy's phone. This is a posting on his phone of the victim, Charles Jones. Big Six and Little Six. And then a photograph on his phone of a black Dodge Charger. This is Charles Jones's black Dodge Charger. They are already tracking him, garnering intelligence, so they know what vehicle they need to look at when they come to Tampa to hunt and kill him. This is intelligence that they are gathering. That is the vehicle after they shot him up. And it matches exactly a photograph that he already had saved in his phone. So they knew exactly what type of vehicle Charles Jones would be in when he was in Tampa. Alicia Andrews' iCloud messaging. They need an Airbnb in Tampa, June 21st. Again, the day before they leave to Tampa. They are trying to get someone who is not associated, not affiliated with the gang, to put an Airbnb in her name. And this is what this exchange is. She specifically is looking for B&B in Tampa. Falls through. So let's go back to Rashad Murphy's cell phone extraction. This is a photograph of a picture that is on his phone wearing the same outfit, the same black boots that he's shown in that Walmart video. And you can see this black mesh bag. You can also see the handle of a firearm. June 22nd, the day before coming to Tampa, he's wearing all black, he's got a black ski cap on his head, he's wearing all black, and he's got a firearm. He also already has obtained the silver Chevy Cruze that they use as a surveillance tracking vehicle for their mission. Cash App records. The forensic evidence in this case goes on and on and on, tying each and every one of them to this conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. And it shows them that they are tied and connected to the gangs, that they are themselves in it, and that they are friends with them as well. Isaiah Chance, Cash App records, Mr. Rich Off War, his correct address from his driver's license set up this account. Cash App is how we pay for things. These are all the display names that he has used. Clearly, he is the owner of this Cash App account. It has his official name. It has his nicknames on there, Double Gutta Zay, Redmond 23. And finally, back in 2023, August 11th, Ghost, August 11th of 2023, Ghost, and then August 11th of 2023, he changes his name to Mr. Rich Off War. There's only one gang war that you have heard over and over about in this case, and it is because it is evidence of motive, why all four of these defendants did what they did. And there is a connection. There is a $390 payment on the Cash App to Mr. Gadazay, Mr. Richoff War, Isaiah Chance from J. Breezy, $390 Cash App payment on June 22nd of 2024, right before Mr. Richoff War has to make the payment for the Airbnb that is in Rashad Murphy's name. Airbnb booking subpoena, again confirming that that was the actual address of the Airbnb, claiming that he had no idea that the Airbnb was in Tampa because on the messaging to his phone it just says Pond Oasis. He had no idea he'd be in Tampa, yet he tells law enforcement and lies to law enforcement when confronted with the actual evidence that they have against him. Oh yeah, I did go to the Airbnb just for a second. Lie after lie, not in Tampa, not in Tampa, not in Tampa. Oh, we've got you on video surveillance at Sean Gathright's house getting out an Uber. Oh, I was in Tampa. I did go to the Airbnb. I just went there for a second with Darius Beals. I didn't have my phone. I used Darius Beals' phone. Lie after lie. It is no mistake why he used a dead person as an alibi, because law enforcement wouldn't be able to question him. But what him and Davion Murphy, who also tries to use Darius Beals as an excuse, as a way they mysteriously got to the Airbnb, not before the murder occurs, only after, to stay there just a second. He can't tell law enforcement how he gets the address to the Airbnb and now how he mysteriously knows it is in Tampa, because he actually drives and shows up and gets there. We all know he does, because he's there when the Uber gets there. He has been there all along as part of this mission to kill Charles Jones. Connection after connection after connection. He is on the Airbnb account with his ID. The cell phone extraction of Rashad Murphy has Isaiah Chance saved in his phone as Davion. There is no mistaking their connection. Here's the screenshot of the confirmation of the Airbnb that is sent on June 22nd in the early morning hours. And coincidentally, his driver's license is screenshotted at the same time. They are tracking the victim. They are hunting him. I've said this time and time again, not just based on the video, proven by the video evidence from teasers, from Truth 18, from the USF poll cam, from the cameras from Home to Suites, but it is proven on their social media. The victim only location that he posted was teasers. He advertises about a pool party. He doesn't give out that address. All they know is Tampa, Florida. Here's a message some point at if the girls want the address, DM them. So he's not giving out the Airbnb address. So we have Rashad Murphy, time stamped, again, got a man, 6/22. There's a conversation between Isaiah Chance and Sean Gathright, where Sean Gathright is receiving the address of the Airbnb in Tampa. No surprise to anyone. And then a screenshot again, Rashad Murphy has got a man. 6/22 is when, 7:55 is when Isaiah Chance, Alicia Andrews, and Sean Gathright get to the Airbnb, 7:55. And then there is a screen recording from Foolio Charles Jones posting about the 5 to 6 o'clock pull-up pool party. And that is screen recorded. We know that that's on on Charles Jones' Instagram, because Detective Ramos watched it after the homicide occurred and then got the records of all of Charles Jones' Instagram stories. But amazingly, coincidentally enough, it is on Sean Gathright's iCloud return. He recorded where the victim was going to be at a pool party. And then what else do we get from Sean Gathright's phone? He knows that this is part of Charles Jones' story on Instagram showing the Airbnb, has a lovely pool, it is waterfront. We know this is the Airbnb he's staying at because that's Gino Norris in the background. What does Sean Gathright do? He saves it in his phone. The mortal enemy of his close friend Isaiah Chance. He has 9700 North Nebraska, address to the club. We know that this is his phone. It shows Victoria Lakes, his home address, as one of the main locations. Shows that he is already checked out and is looking at Teaser's Gentleman Club, the place that Isaiah Chance said that he was going to be at, the place that Rashad Murphy liked that posting of the victim, knowing that he's going to be at Teaser's. His co-defendant is looking up the address, MapQuest, so they know exactly how to drive to where the victim is going to be. Timestamp of the search. Teaser's Gentleman Club, 6/23/2024. It's not just Sean Gathright hunting and searching for the victim at this Airbnb. Charles Jones is posting and he is tagging Ms. Lee. There's post and then it is reposted on Ms. Mizzle. I keep saying Ms. Lee, I'm sorry, on Mizzle's post. So now we have Rashad Murphy also hunting for an Airbnb in Tampa. Sean Gathright is trying to find out where Charles Jones is. This co-defendant, Rashad Murphy, who claims not to even be in Tampa, is searching for, see this message, get the B&B from me, gang. That's his words on his Instagram messaging. Hunting, searching for Charles Jones. So now we have Rashad Murphy doing it, we have Sean Gathright doing it, and now we have Isaiah Chance. He's looking up Mizzle. The person he knows based on Charles Jones' Instagram story is with Charles Jones. They all three are hunting him. They want to know where he is at the Airbnb. They tracked him, they followed him, they hunted him, and they found him, and then they gunned him down. That was the only purpose for their trip. That was their mission, and they succeeded at it because of how they planned to commit it. Sean Gathright, again, searching for Charles Jones. You heard about the extraction, the communication that he has with Kyla Enright and Nevaeh Gathright. I need you to text Fat Boy. A lot of conversation, a lot of questioning. Who's Fat Boy? Law enforcement believes Fat Boy is Xavier Edwards. Do we have to prove who Fat Boy is? No, we don't. I don't know who Fat Boy is. It doesn't matter because the context of this conversation is clear. Sean Gathright is trying to find out where Charles Jones is, where Six is, by dubious means, by using a girl to get on a phone FaceTime conversation with somebody they know that Charles Jones is with, pretending like she wants to get with them so that she can get the address of the Airbnb. I don't know who Fat Boy is. It's irrelevant. What is very relevant, which is evidence of motive, which is evidence of hunting for Six, hunting for Charles Jones, is the rest of this message. Hey sis, I need you to text Fat Boy and tell him you're trying to pull up on him and trying to see him tonight. They want to know why. He's in Tampa right now. but make it seem like you don't know he there. He had a B&B with 6. He like, I want to pull up on him. I'm drunk and I'm trying to F you. That is what he is telling them to do. The purpose of this messaging to these girls are to use them to get intel. Intel as to where Charles Jones is. No, they're trying to say, where are you? You want to come hang out with us? He's like, no, I'm in Tampa. I'm trying to see where his B&B is. He's trying to see where 6's B&B is. Who B&B? 6. I don't care who Fat Boy is. It couldn't be any clearer. This isn't coded language. It is very clear what Sean Gathright's purpose is. He wants to find 6. These girls actually do it. They report that he's at Beezer's. They get it a little right. He's going to Teasers, not Beezer's. More social media from Charles Jones. Foolio actually saying that he's about ready to go to the show. And we all know, they know where that show is going to be. Ron is contacted. Sean Gathright all of a sudden needs to add a new contact to his phone. Not saved before now. She is Alicia Andrews. She is Isaiah Chance. She's there with them all weekend. Why now does he need to save her contact? Because they are purposely going to use her phone to communicate while they are going on this mission. So he has to save her phone because these are the phones that are going to be utilized between both vehicles, the surveillance team and the hit team. Ron, Sean Gathright from his iCloud account. These are the confirmed numbers of Alicia Andrews, now saved as ERON in his phone. And they do communicate. There is a sharing of location, 2 a.m. There is incoming and outcoming phone calls. And you've heard about call detail records from Detective Ramos, and it's important because there is calling going back and forth, 208, 208. But you also heard from Detective Ramos that there is video footage clearly when Isaiah Chance has that pink phone up to his ear that is not on call detail records, that are not captured in these cell phone records. Because there are apps out there, you heard that, there are apps out there that you can use purposefully if you don't want to be tracked by cell phone companies, if you don't want to be tracked by law enforcement. Talked about Telegram, WhatsApp. There are other applications on your phone that can be utilized just like a cell phone for messaging, for phone calls. They are communicating surreptitiously, secretively, for a specific purpose. That is what people do when you are on a mission to commit first-degree premeditated murder. Timeline, 2:24 a.m., Chevy Cruise to Teasers. 2:27, Chance and Andrews exit the cruise in the silver Chevy Cruise. 2:29 a.m., not there for a club, never go in, go back to the Chevy Cruise. What we do know is that Charles Jones and his entourage, his friends, the people with him, are in front of that club. They have spotted him. They have completed their task at that location. And guess what? They are trying desperately to get in touch with Sean Gathright. He's not picking up the phone. Whatever application they're using, he's not answering. So they send 2 messages. Incoming and outcoming, again, with the timestamps on them. The communication, the coordination. No coincidence that there is communication and then all of a sudden this black Chevy Impala arrives. Going to Truth 18, 4:10 a.m. is now when we're at this timeline. Second nightclub, Charles Jones and his friends leaving, Truth 18, the second club. More sharing location between Alicia Andrews' phone and Sean Gathright. Communication coordination. The evidence in this case is overwhelming. You have it based on the video footage, you have it based on the cell phone data, and now you have it based on all of the social media and what they were doing that night. The evidence in this case overwhelmingly show and prove that all four of these defendants conspired to commit the first-degree murder of Charles Jones. That they planned it, that that's the only reason that they were here, and that is what they spent the entirety of their night doing on June 22nd going into June 23rd of 2024. And that they actually found him and did what they intended to do. They killed him. They also knew who was with him, how many cars were in his party, and who was traveling with him. And they managed to shoot 3 more of Charles Jones' friends and people that were with him. That is first-degree premeditated murder for all defendants. Conspiracy to commit first-degree premeditated murder for all defendants. And 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder for the shooters for intentionally shooting at and trying to kill Camilla Bentley, who's not even in a gang, Gino Norris, who is not in a gang, and Xavier Edwards. They intentionally shot into those vehicles, into areas knowing where people were seated, and they did that to kill them. That is 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder for the 3 shooters, and then tampering with evidence against Sean Gathright. There is a lot of evidence that you have had to look at over these last 2 weeks, and I know that you have been paying attention, and there are a lot of instructions that the judge is going to instruct you on tomorrow. And one of the things that she will instruct you on is that you need to look at each defendant separately and apply the evidence to them. But remember that principal instruction. That applies to all of them, because they all intended for Charles Jones to be dead, and they all did something to assist. They all participated. They all had a role. And they are all guilty as principals to first-degree premeditated murder. And you need to put them and treat them into the shoes as if they had all carried the gun that actually shot and killed him. You will also be asked to make special findings. The judge will tell you and instruct you that the law requires you to find each and every one of the defendants guilty for the highest offense that has been proven beyond all reasonable doubt. A professional hit that was planned and executed and completed is first-degree premeditated murder. It is the highest offense. It has been proven beyond all reasonable doubt. To intentionally try to kill his friends, that is attempted first-degree premeditated murder, proven beyond all reasonable doubt. Each and every one of those top counts have been proven. And you should hold them responsible for what has been proven beyond and to the exclusion of all reasonable doubt. You will be asked to make additional findings. You'll be asked whether or not, with regards to the shooters, if they personally possessed a firearm and if they discharged a firearm. And you'll have to go through each one of those verdict forms. So we're going to be separate verdict forms for each defendant. And you'll see after you make your decision that there will be additional questions that you need to make and answer those questions. And with regards to the shooters, there are enhancements if you are the one that actually fired the gun, if you are the one that actually possessed the gun. So for Rashad Murphy, for Davion Murphy, and for Sean Gathright, there will be extra questions for each and every one of the counts that will ask you to say yes or no. And there is no doubt that they are the three individuals in the black Chevy Impala. The cell phone evidence proves it, as well as all of the video evidence that corroborates and supports it. Not even having to look at or delve in what is in their social media. The other enhancement that you are going to be asked to make specifically has to do with gang enhancements. And they apply to Isaiah Chance, to Rashad Murphy, and Davion Murphy. You will be asked to make findings whether it was proven that they were in a criminal gang and met the criteria for criminal gang membership or associate. And all three of them have met those criteria. That is why you heard all of those testimony from Jacksonville concerning the tattoos, concerning the videos. You've heard what are the requirements for gang membership. And there's 11 different factors. Admits to criminal gang membership. Nobody will admit to being a criminal gang member. Is identified by a criminal gang member by parent or guardian. There's reason, or there's factor after factor, but you heard from Detectives Griffin, you heard from Detective Nieder as to what the requirements are and what requirements were met for Rashad Murphy, for Davion Murphy, and for Isaiah Chance. And to be a member, you just need one factor. To be an associate, you just need one of those factors. To be a criminal gang member, you need 2 or more. Now, you have heard from Jacksonville Sheriff's detectives that they are very conservative on this, that any one of these, standing alone, does not mean that you are a gang member. And they personally have different approaches to when they actually will document and keep records on people. Because just hanging out with one can be considered a person of interest or an associate. And there are a lot of people that may hang out with gang members that have no gang membership. So when they are documenting, they tend to look for 3 or 4 factors. The law only requires 1 and 2. But it's not these standing alone. To be a gang member, you have to meet one of these criteria, but you have to be in a criminal gang, which means a formal or informal. The law requires that it is a formal or informal ongoing organization, association, or group that has one of its primary activities the commission of criminal or delinquent acts that consists of 3 or more persons that have identifying signs, colors, symbols, including to but not limited to terrorist organizations and hate groups. The key being, these are not people that are innocently organizing just to hang out. The key to this is it is a criminal gang, primary purpose activities, the commission of criminal crime. And so the law requires that be a criminal gang and that to be a member 2 or more or 1 or more. When we're talking about what the law requires and the proof in this case, one of the things that we are talking about for all 3 of them is the commission of this homicide, an attempted homicide. There is no doubt that it is because of the gang war. It is because of their membership in it. And this violence going back and forth, both sides doing it, is why it was the motive for this and why this was committed. is clear based on the social media, it's clear based on the drill raps, the type of music the victim performed, and is clear on the violence on both sides. This is why this happened. And that in it of itself shows that that gang enhancement, even if the detectives just gave you one of them, would qualify all of them as an associate for the purpose of committing the criminal act of killing the head of 6 Block. Qualifies all 3 of them as associates, but you know that there was much more than that. They had been documented as gang members before this homicide ever occurred. And the detectives went over the criteria, all of the different evidence that supported Isaiah Chance being in a gang before this even occurred. The style of dress, the 23, the gang signs, all of that evidence, he met more than 1 or 2 criteria already before this ever happened. There is no doubt that he is part of a criminal gang and that that has been proven beyond to the exclusion of all reasonable doubt, and that you should hit yes to that question. Davion Murphy, tattoos. All of those tattoos you saw on him. It's not a crime to have a tattoo of a deceased person on you. It's not a crime to have as many tattoos as you want. But tattoos that have significance, that are used by gang members of a certain gang, especially of their fallen, killed members, are all over his body. Suge, the date of Suge's death is on there, their names, Jacoby, 12 Block is on his back. And you heard on the video with Detective Nieder, when he went to go take a photo of that after the homicide, where he is arrested for killing 6. And the one time where Detective Nieder is going to take a photo of the back of his neck where there is 12 Block, from Davion Murphy's own mouth is, that's the one you want. You heard it for yourselves. He knows why this first-degree homicide was happening, why it happened, why he's being questioned by a gang detective, why they want photographs of his tattoo, and when they take a picture of 1200 Block, he audibly is heard on that interview, that's the one you want. He is a member of 1200 Block, and no matter what he will say to deny it, no matter what excuse he gives for all of those other names on his body, it is because he is 1200. That is one factor. Another factor is that rap song that he wrote well before, where he is talking about Prosper, writing about meeting Prosper in 2007. You saw the posting about Prosper and Junior that was posted immediately after Charles Jones was murdered. They had been up all night, stalking him, tracking him, yet they're up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. posting on social media. They're celebrating. That's absolutely what they've done. And you've heard cross-examination, oh, those are their sons. Well, that rap song that he wrote talking about meeting Prosper in 2007 is definitely not a reference to his son. And Bink, another gang member, is in that rap song, that letter that you saw that he'd written well before committing his crime. Physical evidence identifying him as a gang member. Another criteria. And this case, this offense, more than any other factor, is undeniable proof that they are 1200 and that they are ATK, and that gang enhancement applies to Isaiah Chance, Rashad Murphy, and Davion Murphy. That these crimes were committed for the purpose of benefiting a gang, how can there be any doubt? You saw those videos that were posted a day after Charles Jones was killed. Game over. Just do it. All taking credit for killing 6 Block. That was the biggest takedown 1200 and ATK could have done. And there's a rap video saying, game over, you don't want a war. There is a gang war. That is the motive in this case. And the mountain of evidence that you have in front of you shows that each and every one of those defendants is guilty of everything that they are charged with.
Okay, Mr. Gonzalez?
Can we approach now?
Yep.
My computer just froze, so I need to shut it down and reboot it.
That's okay, I'm just gonna tell them, okay, and I'll repeat what I said.
Okay.
Okay. It's 11:45, so it's close to, we're not quite at lunch, but we're close to it, so, in order not to have to split, Mr. Gonzalez's closing argument to you all, we're gonna go ahead and take our lunch break now, and take a 1-hour break. We'll be back at 12:45 and continue on with closing arguments, okay? All right.